Most beginner think data analytics start with SQL or Power BI, but in real system like the one of Airbnb, everything starts with a data model, because if your data model is wrong, your insights will always be wrong. So today we are building an Airbnb booking and host analytics system from scratch. So let's get started. So we shall going to build Airbnb data model from scratch, where we shall going to start by first of all understanding the Airbnb, the problem Airbnb is facing, and then we shall going to explore the steps of building a data model. So we're going to build this Airbnb data model by following the step by step of designing a data model. So without wasting time, so let's read the problem statement. So this is the problem statement where the Airbnb is experiencing rapid growth and needs a centralized system to manage its operation and support data-driven decision making. Currently, information about guests, host, property, bookings, payments, and reviews is stored across different systems, making it difficult to track performance and generate reliable insights. So the company wants to design a database that will store information about the guest and host, manage property listing across different locations, track booking made by guests, record payments for each booking, capture guest reviews and ratings, maintain a list of amenities available in each property, support reporting and analytics on revenue, occupancy, customer satisfaction, and host performance. The system should allow management to answer questions such as which property generate the highest revenue, which city have the most bookings, which hosts have the highest rated properties, which amenities are most common among the top performing properties, which guests book most frequently, and what is the average rating per property. So this is basically the problem statement. So you'll have to understand the problem before you build any data model. So here generally the problem is just asking us to build a database that will store the information about guests and hosts, manage property listings across different locations, track booking made by guests, record payment for each booking, capture guest review and ratings, maintain list of amenities available in each property, support reporting and analytics on revenue, occupancy, customer satisfaction, and host performance. So this is basically the business requirement, where we are building a data model so that we can answer all these business requirements. So we're going to follow the steps of building a data model. So let's start with the first one. So the first step here is to identify entities. So first of all, you'll have to identify the entities. So the entity basically will come from the business requirement, where you will going to read the requirement and underline the nouns in those in that business requirement. So here you're going to identify and underline the nouns from this business requirement or business problem. So those nouns now will be the entities. Those nouns now will be our entity, and this entity will eventually become our table when we are designing our database. So let's underline our entity. So let's underline our entity from this problem. So Airbnb experiencing rapid growth and needs a centralized system to manage its operation and support data-driven. Currently information about. So one of the entity is this one: guest, host, property, booking, payment, and review. So these are our entity. These are our nouns. So these will eventually become our entity. So let's just write here entity. Entities. Entities. So one of them being guest. Guest. Second one being host. The third one being think property. Fourth one was bookings, payments. So bookings being the fourth one. Fifth one, there is payment. Then I have sixth. I think it's reviews. Yeah, so these are among the entities, our entity. Okay. Now let's proceed to find if we can get another entity. So reviews is stored across different systems, making it difficult to track performance and generate reliable insights. The company wants to design a database that will store information about guest, host, manage property listing across different location. So location is also a noun here. So this is also one of our entity. So 7, location. And then so location, tracking booking made by guests, record payment for each booking, capture guest review and ratings, maintain a list of amenities. So we have amenities available in each property. So here we have amenities. 8 is amenities. So let's also find if you can have another one. Maintain a list of amenities available in each property. Support reporting and analytics on revenue, occupancy, customer satisfaction, and host performance. The system should allow management to answer questions such as which property generates revenue, city making bookings, host have the highest repeated property, what amenities are most common among the top performing property, which guests book most frequently, what are the average rating per property. So I think these are the only entities that we have. So this entity will eventually, these one are the one that will become our tables. So this one will eventually become our tables. Yeah. So I think we are done with this one. The first step of identify the entities. Now let's move to the second step. The second step is list attributes. So for each entity, list what the data you need to store about it. Attributes, basically these are the column of this entity. As I've told you, these entities are our tables. So these tables, they must contain columns. So this column is what we call the attributes. 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 So this one will be our columns. So this one will be our columns. Yeah, so basically we will going to give or populate this entity with their respective columns, the attributes. So that's the requirement for step 2. Step 2, that is list the attributes. So we're going to use this DB diagram to write to populate each and every column, to populate each and every entity with their respective column. So let's start with the first. Let's start with the first entity. So the first entity here is guest. So we're just going to create table guest. Guests, and then the first column will be guest ID, guest ID. Guest ID is in data type int. And then the second column is full name of the guest. Full name. So full name, this is in data type varchar. And then the third column can be maybe email. So email, this one also can be in form of data type varchar. And then the other one maybe sign up date. Sign up date. Sign up date. This is data type. So we have our table here, or our entity of guest. Our second entity will be host. So basically you will just repeat the same procedure that we've done to all of these entities. So I've already created all the code for coming up with this, the attributes of each and every entity. So let's just use them. Yes, so the second one was host. So there's already a code for host here, where host yeah, so we have the table for host, where the host has host ID, integers, full name varchar, email varchar is superhost, boolean, response rate, decimal, and so these are basically the attributes of entity host. So entity host with its respective, with its attributes. Now let's go to the third one. The third one is property. So let's look for property. Yeah, property is here. Property, yeah. So these are the attributes of property. Let's go to the other one. Bookings. Bookings, these are the columns or attributes of bookings. Bookings, the fourth attribute was, the fourth entity was payments. Payments, yeah. Payments and its respective columns, they are here. Payments. So let's bring booking here. Let's bring payment. Payment. Let's just move. And then we have the after payment reviews. After payment is reviews, so reviews is here. Reviews. So let's bring reviews here, reviews table and its respective attributes. And then after reviews we have location, the table for location. Location is here. Location, so this is the entity for location, and these are the columns of the table location. And then after that, after location we have amenities. Amenities. Yeah, so amenities is also here. The table amenity is also here. Yeah, so we have all tables or all entities available. So I think we are done with populating the attributes in their respective table. So we have all the lists. We've listed all the attributes. So now let's go to Step 3. So step 3 is about defining a primary key. So we assign a primary key to each and every entity. So basically we are going to identify the primary key. So in guests table, the primary key here will be guest ID. So primary key basically it's a unique identifier. So for example, your national ID number is your primary key. So if for example we had a table, let's say about citizen, the column of national ID number will be treated as the column containing primary key. So that one will be identified, it will be identified as primary key. So in all these tables, they must contain a primary key. So for example, in guest table, the primary key in guest table will be guest ID, because we expect each and every guest to have their own unique ID. So that means that will be now our primary key. So we're going to assign the guest ID. We're going to assign this guest ID as our primary key. So you'll just come to guests, and then you say this is primary key, PK. Primary key, basically PK is just more of like a short form of primary key. So once you assign it, you will see something like a key on this table. And then after that, let's go to this other table, that is host. Host here, host ID will be our primary key, because we expect each and every host to have their own unique host ID. So I'll just come to here. Here, PK, primary key. And then you'll come to the property. This one will be, property. So here, basically the primary key is property ID. And then bookings, so booking ID will be the primary key. And then payments, payment ID will be our primary key. And then review ID will be our primary key. Location ID will be the primary key. And then we have amenity, this one will be the primary key. So after this, so we have, I think we are done by identifying and assigning the primary key. Now after this, now we will have to go to the step 4. Step 4 is about identifying the relationship. Step 4 is about identifying the relationship. So in identifying the relationship, here let's just go to let's go back to this one. So let's note down the relationship. So for example, here we can have So for example, here we can have, for example, guest. Guest, they normally the one making booking. So guest, so there's a relationship between guest and booking. Guest making booking makes booking, and then is there any relation? Also, another relationship, for example, hosts they own property. Hosts are the owner of property. Host owns owns property. Properties. So that means there's a relationship between the host entity and property entity. And then also we can have maybe property found in different location. So let's come up with yes. So property belong to different location. Properties I can write found in different location. And then also we can have something like bookings generate payment. Once someone books, done a booking, that's when he can come up, we can do the payment. So let's also identify that relationship. Where saying booking, booking are the one generating payment. Right, payments. Another relationship here, maybe, yeah, guests and reviews. Guests are the one making reviews. So here let's do guests. Guests are making guests making reviews. Guests are making reviews. Also, another relationship maybe, yeah, this property having the amenities. Amenities, yeah, also there's a relationship here. Property and amenity. So we have properties, properties have amenities. Having different amenities. Amenities, so these are the relationship. So these are the entity with their respective the relationship. Yeah, so these are our relationship. This is the fourth step of our data model. So now let's proceed to step 5. Step 5 is about setting the cardinality. So for each relationship, decide whether it's one to one relationship, one to many, or many to many relationship. So let's just go back. Yeah, so let's start with the first one where guest to booking. Guest to booking, this I think one guest can book many, can do many booking. So that means one guest can do many booking. So the relationship here will be one is to many. One guest can do many relationships. So instead of us writing many, we're just going to write one and n. So n is more of like it represents many. And then here, host properties. One host can have different property. One host can have different property. One host can have different property. So the relationship here will be also 1 to 1 to many. So 1 to n. And then property and location. Property and location. Property and location. One property and location. One location can have different property. So this one will be more of like a many to one. And then booking and payment. Booking and payment, this is One booking can have many payments. So this one will be, one booking can generate one is too many. And then guest and review, guest and review, this one will be more of like one review can be done by different guests. Yeah, one review can be done by different guests. So this one will be one and many guests. One many is to one. One review can be done by different guests. So for example, if the review is 4 stars or maybe 5 stars, 5-star review, that means different guests can do that, can do that review, can do the same review. And then here we have another one, which is properties and amenities. So one property can have different amenities, and also one amenities can be found in different property. So for example, property, the property, for example, can contain amenities such as Wi-Fi, swimming pool, maybe parking, and so forth. So these are amenities contained in a specific property. But the same amenities can be found in different property. For example, Wi-Fi, we can find Wi-Fi in different property. And then maybe the parking also, different property can have parking. So that means the relationship between these two is many to many. So that one will be many to many relationship. So I think we are done with setting the cardinality, where we have defined the relationship and we've set their respective cardinality. Cardinality, basically these are the cardinality to show the relationship they exist among these entity. So let's go to the next step. So the next step now is to resolve the man-to-many relationship in case there's any relationship has to do with many-to-many relationship. So we will going to resolve our many-to-many relationship here. So here we have these two tables. So we shall going to resolve, because we cannot implement the many-to-many relationship in our database. So we'll have to resolve it. So let's so first of all, let's understand what does this many-to-many relationship mean. So let's assume you have this table here, and this you call it this one you call it, this is a property table, and it has maybe these So this is property table, and here it has the property ID, property ID. Let's just call it ID, this one, property ID, and here it has the amenity ID. So let's say this is property ID 001. Let's call it 01, and we have property ID 02. In property ID 1, we have amenities like Wi-Fi. We have another amenities like maybe swimming pool, and maybe we have another amenity like parking. So we have Wi-Fi, swimming pool, and parking. Here maybe this property, it has amenity like maybe Wi-Fi and maybe parking. And here we have the table amenities. So this is, let's draw the table amenity for amenity. Here, table amenity. So this one will have maybe this one will have the amenity ID dot ID, and also it will have maybe amenity name. So the amenity ID can be this one, Wi-Fi, swimming pool, and also amenity ID can be parking. So let's just write here the amenity name, Wi-Fi, and then we have swimming, just swimming, and then here we have parking. Yeah, so these are basically the name of the amenities. So if you look at these two tables here, the property table, and this is the amenity. So if you look at these tables here, they have many to many relationship, because you can see this same property with the, let's say, property ID 1, it has these amenities. So let's use this. So it has amenity Wi-Fi, it has amenity swimming, and it has this amenity parking. And if you look in the amenity table, you can see this swimming alone, it is found in both of these property. So you can see it's found in this property ID 1, and also this one also. Let's use different color. Yeah, if you look at this one, you can see it's found in property ID 1, and also this one, it's also found in property id 2. So here there's the many to many to many relationship. Many to many relationship. Yeah, so this we will going to resolve it with the junction table. Junction table. We're going to resolve this with junction resolved with junction table. So the junction table will be something like, now let's bring the junction table just below this. Junction table here. So this will be our junction table, where it will have 3 columns. So the first column, maybe we can use this property ID, and here we're going to use this amenity ID. And this junction table, it will have its primary key. So this primary key, we can call it just any name. Let's just call it junction, maybe junction ID. Let's just call it junction ID. So basically here we will going to here. So we will start with property ID. So basically we are distributing this amenity ID into their respective rows. So the property ID 01 here, property ID 01 001 01 01. It had it has 3 amenities. So 001 again, 0001 again, and then the first amenity here was Wi-Fi. And then this one was Wimo, and then the other one was parking. And then we have 02. It had only 2 amenity. 02 02. So it had Wi-Fi and it had parking. So these let's say the junction ID, this one will be more of like each and every row should have a unique value. So we can just write it 1, 2, here 3, 4, 5, and so on. So you can see we have resolved this many-to-many relationship by, so we can join this, let's make blue, we can join this one here with this, while we can join this one here with this. So this is what we call junction table. Junction table. Junction table. So we have resolved the junction table. Now, so that means even in this our tables here, we also need to add the junction table so that we can resolve the problem between the amenities and the problem between the amenities, this amenity, property and amenity. So there's a code already built for that. So that one is property amenity. So this is our junction table. Junction table, yeah. Yes, so this is our junction table. Yeah, so here we have our junction table. So I think we are done with this one. So now let's build a relationship in our diagram here, because we've done everything. We have identified the entities, we have populated the attributes, we have also assigned the KPIs in each and every table or entity. We have also defined the relationship. We have defined the relationship here, and then we have also set the cardinality. So we have set the cardinality, and we have come to realize that we have cardinality of this many-to-many relationship. And then after that we have resolved this many-to-many relationship with a junction table. So the next step now is to connect this table into this diagram, within this diagram. So let's just bring all these here. Yeah, let's just make them. Yeah, so for us to connect these tables, we first of all also need to identify the foreign key that will help us connect with these primary key. So let's start with the first table. So first table, it doesn't have any foreign key, so it only has the guest ID. And then second table here, it has only primary key. And then here, so foreign key is basically a primary key of another table found in another table. So when we see a primary key of another table in another tables found in another table, that will be our primary key. So for example, property, it has host ID, and we know host ID is a primary key in host table. So that means host ID in this table will be our primary key. So that's property. So the foreign key, we're just going to write ref. So we are referencing this with host table column host ID. And once you do that, a relationship will be created between the host and the property ID. And then also location is a primary key. Location ID is a primary key in location table. So that means this is a foreign key. We are referencing it to the location table. So ref so we are referencing it with locations, location ID. So we expect also, you can see here. And then so property doesn't have any other foreign key. So let's go to this one, booking. Booking, here you can see guest ID. Guest ID is a primary key in guest table. So that means guest ID here is a foreign key. So let's just write ref. Referencing it with guest table using guest ID. And then property ID. Property ID is a primary key of property. So here we'll just use it as a foreign key. So referencing it with property table using property ID. So that one will also create a relationship. After that, let's go to also, I think payments. We have booking ID here, and we know booking ID is a primary key in booking table. So ref bookings, booking table, booking ID. Yes, so we have a relationship. And then we have reviews. Reviews, we have booking ID here. So ref we are referencing it with bookings, then help of booking ID. Also we have guests here, so ref this is guest ID, and then we have property. So ref properties, property ID, yeah. Yeah, so we have, so I think that one is, we have exhausted the primary keys here. Location, it doesn't have any primary key. Amenities, it doesn't have any. And then here we have property ID in our junction table. So property ID is a primary key in property table. So this one will be our foreign key here. So ref, we are referencing it with properties, property ID, and here we have we are referencing this with amenity here, with amenities, yeah, amenity ID. Amenity ID. So you can see we have successfully created our Airbnb data model, and you can see we have connected all relevant entities with the respective the primary key and foreign key.